It's Tom, our Superintendent, Bellevue Community School District, coming to you with this week's Believe in the Blue update, talking about the board meeting on Monday evening that was held, along with some other things happening this weekend, including the election, some upcoming things with homecoming, and some other perspectives that way. Try to make this as quick as possible that way. We did have the consent agenda. We did have Kristen Wright was hired as the middle school speech coach, and Emily Jorgensen as middle school student council. Kristen Wright is a middle school teacher right now, along with high school for Bellevue Big, but middle school for literacy, and then some social studies. And Emily Jorgensen is one of our literacy teachers for middle school and high school as well. Had some people there talk about the middle school concept as visitors. Jenny Mickles, Judy Mickles, and Dave Wright were there. Mr. Raker went over kind of an overview of what a middle school schedule looks like, including the different exploratories they have along with the core courses. Very good discussion. Sometimes, we talk about elementary and high school, but that middle school component where they're really trying to discover what are some of their interests and finding out who they are in some ways is very important that way. We did have a Common School Finance Review as well. We just with the cash review, closing the books for the fiscal year. That's actually the final day for that is September 15th. Went over that. Things financially in the district look very strong at this point. Also have an increase of enrollment of about 25 to 28 students that way. Kind of depends on the day. I think we had a couple move out recently, but a couple more are moving in. So just in that regard, where we're at that way. Board meeting dates and times will remain the second Monday of the month at 6:30, although this upcoming month we have a joint board meeting with Andrew, Community School District at Andrew at 6 o'clock, and then we will follow that with actually our regular board meeting being held at 6:45, just to allow for some transportation time back and forth. Dave Wright, the Comet Activities Director, talked about some different things going on there with fundraising. We have fundraising cards right now done in-house with local merchants and other areas around us that way. And we're really looking at marketing that. Those cards are $20 each, and that profit goes to the athletic department, activities department that way. Let's talk about the cost of officials and why some of this stuff is needed. And it's very important to have quality officials and very important to have officials. They were getting slim. So those of you up in the crowd want to complain about officials, you know what? If you want a job doing that, you're more than welcome to go get your license and things like that. I would encourage that. Regardless of age, it's something that is worthwhile to do. When I was in college, I remember doing that, even my first couple years of teaching, and a very worthwhile thing to do. It does take time, but for a varsity game, like a varsity football game tonight, will be about $160 for each of the officials. One game is usually about $105. Basketball games are about 105 times 3 officials that way for 2 varsity games. So just give you an idea of where some of those expenses go. We also talked about having the musical. That is coming up the first weekend in November. It's the annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, it's called that way. So you'll have that, along with a bunch of other things. A lot of students will be involved with that. I encourage you to come out, and I'll pass along more information about that in the near future. We did apply for modified growth and supplemental aid if we have a special education deficit, which according to our fiscal records right now, we do not have a deficit in special ed, which is very good. I talked about facilities update, which I'll get to in just a little bit here that way. We also talked about, flipping through my pages here, talked about technology update. We are getting Mac Air books for next year's juniors. This year's juniors have Mac Airs already. Just that rotation we had set up last year ready to order those, but we have a good deal on them right now to purchase those. We're purchasing 80 of those for about $5.99 a piece that way, so it's a good deal. We'll also be purchasing more Chromebooks for the 6th grade for next year's 6th graders, so it's on a rotation that way. Talked about a legislative up there. Under the Golden Dome, Iowa Association of School Boards puts out that way. Relationship building is a key. We need to make sure we prioritize the mental health of students and others, and continued efforts to extend SAVE. I was on a SAI legislative webinar. I'm part of the committee, and that was on Tuesday at 1:30. And as the one person said there, yeah, we think it's going to go through this year through both branches and be signed by the governor. But we thought that the last 2 years. And with the economy the way it is, we're not sure how that will go. So people are saying it's going to pass. It's obvious it's going to pass. That's not necessarily quite as obvious as people think, because it's been said to have passed the last 2 years, and it hasn't passed yet. So that's an extension. It goes to 29 right now. Trying to get that extended to 2049. So time will tell. It does help out that way, and it's a much needed thing for public schools across the state of Iowa in helping with funding that way. Talk about the Iowa Association School Board Conference and the National School Board Association Conference, the Iowa Association School Board Conference. Some members of the Bellevue Community School District staff from elementary through high school will be presenting about personalized learning and basing learning on passions and student interests that way, and connecting those to the standards instead of trying to connect standards in another way that isn't as meaningful for students. So we will be talking about that. Kevin Lundin will be our delegate at the Delegate Assembly the day before that, but on November 15th, some staff members will be presenting. Also talked about attending the National School Board Association Conference in March 30th through April 1st. Approved that. We had an article to read on comment reading and reflection on making sure that we're looking at not just data-driven curriculum, but also looking at learner-driven. What do the learners need? As I just mentioned before, what do the learners need? And let's arrange our curriculum around that way. And let's find out what their interests are. What are their needs? Weakness focused to strengths based. We need to look at students' strengths and build on those and connecting standards in that regard. And then we also need to look at the process where students are learning, how they're learning, and what they're doing with that learning. How are they applying that? Talked a little bit about enrollment before. We had a brief conversation about that and students moving in. Then getting into homecoming is next week, next Friday. Some different things with that, a variety of dress-up days, anywhere from Star Wars and Movie Day to Blast from the Past on Tuesday, Future Day on Wednesday, Vine or Meme Day on Thursday, and then obviously the Spirit Blue and White Day on Friday. We'll have the entire school district at the middle school, high school gym for the assembly on Friday morning, roughly around 8:30. Some other events happening Sunday is Powder Puff football. Monday morning is the kickoff assembly just for middle school and high school. There was some other things, but obviously the parade going on Friday at 2:45. It's a homecoming dance on Saturday as normal, things like that. We also talk about going to the AAA Board Administrative Banquet, talking about social media and its impacts on learning. The Jackson County is involved with the Area Substance Abuse Council grant that they received for $625,000 with opioids and other substances that way. So we will be working with that. Iowa Testing Programs is coming out with a new assessment, and that will be we'll be giving that in March and April. School districts across the state will be giving that. So a lot of things happening that way. Some upcoming events next week. Actually, this week at Saturday we have volleyball at the Williamsburg tournament. On Monday we have the cross country meet at the Bellevue Golf Course starting at 4:30. Tuesday we have middle school football at Northeast. Thursday we have our home volleyball game versus a very talented West Liberty team, and then Friday we have the football game versus West Branch, and obviously the parade and everything like that I was talking about before. On the election, as I'm sure most of you know, the Bellevue Elementary School referendum was defeated, 56 to 44% or 57 to 43%, depending on how you want to round numbers that way. I think some were disappointed and some were obviously happy about that. We will continue to move on, and we're evaluating the situation right now. And your input, as I've said before, is always welcome. Please feel free to contact me. I do want to say a couple things, just real basic here. One is this was never designed to divide the community, if that's what some people feel, or that's the route that some people have been taking, if that is. It appears that way at times. I just want everyone to know that. It's not against local merchants, and I think people that are taking it to that extreme may want to reconsider what they're saying here. I was very frustrated with some things that have been said that are untrue, specifically with the robocall that was sent out on Sunday evening that had many inaccuracies in it, such as haste makes waste, and to say that it was hasteful in making this decision is completely wrong. We were talking about this already in 2014 and before that. People were invited to community meetings in November and December of 2017. Those invitations were in the newspaper along with a follow-up in the newspaper. That's frustrating. Poor management. Our school board members take things very seriously. And to say that it's poor management when we are financially sound overall is a strong statement to make and a very false statement. And our board members serve the community, and they serve our school district very well. And I think that's important to recognize. And I could say some other things as far as that goes too, but to say something and don't even put your name down with it, you know what? We've been very transparent with our entire process. We've put a variety of different things out for people to look at. And the community voted. We wanted the community to vote, and they did. And they showed us that that was not what they wanted. So we will definitely reevaluate the situation and be talking to some other people. And as I've said before, your input is valuable. Your input is appreciated. But what I would ask, and I think this is something that many in the community would say, is we need to also move on between any type of divide in the community. Everyone wants this community to be strong. This is it's a community with a lot of pride, and I appreciate that. I think everyone appreciates that. And do not let one issue, such as building a new elementary school, divide the community. I think that's very important. We wanted people to vote, and people voted. We had a record turnout, obviously, for any vote for the school district. Our percentage was close to 60% of the eligible voters, somewhere around 55%, I think. And that's great. So we heard from the voters, and we will adjust that way. Yet I want everyone to recognize we're all on the same page here of doing what's best for our students in the long run. Do I believe that we need to do something with the elementary school? I most certainly do. Am I disappointed with the outcome of the election? Yes, I am. I would be foolish to say I'm not, and you would not believe me if I said I wasn't frustrated with that. But I also recognize we need to evaluate where we're at and go from there. It is the oldest operating school in the state of Iowa. Now, not all of it is that. I understand that, but a good chunk of it is. So, on that note, everyone, let's be prideful, show a lot of pride in our community, and move on from there. Have a great weekend, everyone, and we'll go from there.